Hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate Right Now, where we talk about real estate matters that matter to you. My name is Jay Izzo, and we are live here from Linda Craft Team Studios here in Raleigh, North Carolina, part of the Greater Research Triangle Park. Today's show. I have read somewhere, this has been a few months ago, that we consume more information in 1 year than they did in the entire century from 1900 to 1999. I heard it's how much information we consume now. It's a lot of information. The problem is we can't keep up with it. It also means something else. It also means that there are people who do bad things with information. And a lot of times it's our information. In fact, I have a true story that just happened this past week. A friend of mine lost $180,000 in his crypto wallet because he got scammed and he wasn't paying attention to the signs. And, you know, the fact of the matter is we get emails that have all sorts of things. Some of them are obviously scams and scammers, but some are not so obvious. So what can we do to protect ourselves, whether that be personally or for real estate transactions or whatever that may be? We need help because we're not as smart as we think we are, A, and B, we're humans and we're fallible. So this is why I bring Bayne Schulstad in from Triangle CompuDocs.com,
right.
owner of, and he's been with us before. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. You know, we live in a world of information technology, IT. It's a lot. And people are getting scammed regularly. I don't think probably there's a day go by that hundreds, maybe thousands of people are probably getting scammed in some way or another.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest vulnerabilities that we find, I think that you probably notice in your work, because you work with a lot of individuals, small companies as well, is that emails are still something that people can easily get hacked. What are some of the most common hacks or phishing attempts that you see when it comes to emails, whether it's in small business or personally?
Phishing emails are probably the biggest thing that we're seeing right now. And that is an email that essentially is it's urgent, usually has something to do with finance, and wants you to do something right now to fix it. And so what we recommend for people is to slow down, take a minute, look through the email. You want to be very wary of links inside the email. For instance, one of the most common ones are that they've just billed your credit card a certain amount for a piece of software. Sometimes you're using that piece of software and it might sound legitimate to you. If you don't use that software, people have this urgency. Oh no, I just got charged $500 for something I don't use, and they click a link. This is what we want to avoid. The first thing we want to think about is if they said they billed us, go to your credit card company and verify it first. If there's no bill there, this is literally an attempt for you to give out information to them so that they can sell it or use it in a nefarious way. So phishing emails are the biggest. And I think the rule of thumb is if it's too good to be true, or if it sounds too outlandish, or if they're trying to get you to do something urgent and you do it right now, be wary. It's just like your house. Your email box is just like your house. Who do you want to let in, right? So if somebody comes to your door, you don't just open the door and let them in. You want to investigate. Emails are the same thing. You want to decide, what am I letting in? And if it is phishing, you suspect it's phishing, it needs to be reported, and you can report that back to whether it's Microsoft or Gmail or whoever you have. You can report phishing and spam. Spam is very common as well, but most is phishing, and they're just trying to capture data so that they can use it in a bad way.
So how do you categorize when people use when they get an email, and some of it's really good, by the way.
Very, very good.
I mean, it looks pretty legit, right? When you see it, you know, and I get you on the urgency, but then sometimes it's more subtle, right? There's these more subtle emails, like, you know, that they seem to have enough of my information that looks legit. How do we go about protecting ourselves on that level? Is there certain signs that we can look for, or are they very similar to the urgent emails?
They are similar, but a lot of times people think they got hacked because they got an email and somebody knows their information. The truth of the matter is it could be anyone you've emailed that has gotten hacked. And they've just watched the way you speak and the way you type, right? Your cadence of an email. And so then they can spoof that for someone else. So you may get an email like that. It may be spoofed. It's just being aware of, would this person be writing me? And how can I verify it? Well, a phone call is probably the best way. Give them a call, see if they've sent something to you. Is it legitimate or not? And they're going to be very honest with you. No, I didn't send that email. In which case they might want to check, right? Get with an IT professional to see, did I get hacked? Who can look into the back end of this and see what sessions are being used? Where are they? Are they in Texas? Are they in the Philippines? Who knows? So we want to make sure that being aware is important, and then doing your due diligence to determine, did it really come from the person that I thought it came from?
One that happened to me here within the last couple of months came from Amazon, had the Amazon logo and everything, right? And it said that somebody had purchased a product through my Amazon account of, couple $1,000, and they're just verifying to make sure I made that charge, right?
Right.
Now, by the way, they give me the picture of the product. It's got the Amazon logo. It's got everything. And then it says, call this number to verify, right? And so I went in because I said, it's suspicious, but I just want to see what I get, right? So I just want to see. And so I called the number, and the guy goes, what credit card did you use? Right. And so then of course, you should be alert, but I know that some people aren't. But when you say to me, well, what credit card did you use? Right. And can you give me that number?
Exactly.
Right. I'm like going, okay, because I've been around you so long, every hair that I had in my body just went up.
Of course.
And I got really, really nervous. But I think for a lot of people, it's easy to fall into that trap.
It is. If you fall into the trap of calling the number and they start asking for private and personal information, that is the clear sign they'd want that data. So I would subvert all of that and go directly to the source. If Amazon said you had a purchase you didn't have, go right to Amazon, log in, look at your orders. And they would have an alert there that's telling you, hey, we need further information.
Right.
So,
and they have a support thing too, where, what I've learned over the course of time doing Amazon shopping, which a lot of people do, is that you go to the support if you have any questions, and you say, here's the email I received from supposedly you.
Right.
Can you verify this email? Right. Now, what about antivirus and other sorts of maybe higher level ways of protecting email, maybe before it gets to you or after? Are there things that are available to the consumer that can help maybe not get rid of all of it, but can limit some of that?
Yeah, it all depends on who you have your email account with. A lot of the free email accounts, they have a built-in layer of protection where they may be warning you, hey, this looks like it might be spam. But unless you're paying for an email from, let's just say, Office 365 or Google Workspace, you're just going to get a basic level of protection. So you got to be very aware as a consumer that isn't running a business. But if you're in a business, we can actually provide software that is a layer of protection before emails ever reach you. And then there are also things in your registrar. There are 3 things you put in your registrar that confirms that the email came from the right place. So a lot of times Google is looking at that information in the registrar, wherever the domain is hosted, to verify that that email did come from that appropriate place. And just to rewind for a second on emails that you receive that look legitimate, it's always a good idea to not just look at the name of where it came from, but look at the actual email address where it came from. A lot of times they're using a fake Gmail account to send out an email from Microsoft or from Google. That's a clear indication it didn't really come from Google, because they're not going to use a Gmail account in a business environment.
Right. And that's a really great point, because like it'll say Amazon.com dot something else.
Right.
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 In this or it's amzn.com, right? And you go, oh, that must be their private, right? And it's just not.
But it's not.
It's not. And then the one other thing I keep seeing here, and this has happened to me more regularly, and I just delete it, is I get these messages about looking at a credit card, but there is an attachment that is an HTML file, which I have to believe if you click on that is probably not going to be good for anybody.
No, that's any attachment that you receive from an unknown sender could potentially be a virus that's going to come download. HTML is going to a website. I'd be very careful about that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the web itself, right? I mean, we get on the web, we surf, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, we have all sorts of legitimate websites like MSN or CNN or whatever, right? ESPN, if you're sports, I am, right? And there's often these little click advertisements, at the very end, and there's a lot of clickbait, right? Where they've got the catchy little title and it makes you go, that sounds interesting.
Right.
And then you click there. And then once you click there, then there's all these other subtle things that happen. And the next thing you know, you've gone 6 levels deep into something that you shouldn't probably be in at that point.
Went right down the rabbit.
Yeah, right? Because the clickbait just gets better and better and better.
Sure.
Right? And some of it is legit, but some of it is, selling products. And then some of it, everybody's trying to make money from somebody. And some of those people just don't care who they're getting paid from, right?
Sure, that's right.
How do we protect ourselves from the web surfing aspect of it?
Yeah, and I've found recently that companies might pay a company to provide the advertising on their website, but they don't control what advertising goes on there. So some of it could be illegitimate. I would say in instances like that, and I've fallen for it as well. So I'm not immune to this either. But if you see a product that looks interesting on somebody's website and it's clearly an advertisement, go search for that product without clicking that link. Now, sometimes those links, that's a monetary thing. So that somebody's making money off that. And I hate to take money out of somebody's pocket, but if you're concerned that it might not be legitimate, go search for the product yourself.
I think this happens a lot when I guess the new term is called doom scrolling on social media. Is that right? Where you just get caught into the vortex.
And you look up and see what time it is.
Yeah. And then you all of a sudden you go, I should be asleep, but I'm not. Right. And of course, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they sell all these things. Probably the same advice you'd recommend here too. You see a product that has interest to you, maybe don't click on social media advertising, check it on the web, but we tend to be lazy as humans.
I can't tell you how many times I've bought a product off of Facebook and then realized that it's not the product I was looking for. Right. So it's really just being aware. And if you like that product, go look for it somewhere else.
I had this happen in social media on Facebook about a year or two ago. I think it was about 2 years now. Friend of mine on Facebook direct messages me, who I knew, right? And she said, hey, listen, my sister, who I also knew, and they were older, said, hey, look, we're doing a sale of our stuff. And she said, I know that, you were interested in some of the stuff that I had. So, it was her. It was like she was talking to me like she knew me. She knew me. She called me Jay, right? The whole thing. So I said, oh, man, I said, we'll call her Sally. I said, hey, Sally, I'd love to get this. I said, can I pay you to hold it? Right. And she said, yeah, just give me your PayPal account. The next thing I knew, the first 1,000 went away. Oof. Then the second 1,000 went away. And then I'm calling the bank to go stop it immediately because this is a scam, right? And this was through PayPal. I don't know how I could have avoided it. I look back and I beat myself up for it because I was like, I did. I fell hook, line, and sinker. But I didn't know that her Facebook account had been hacked.
Right.
She spoke to me as if she would spoke to me from back home. I knew that the things that there were legit.
Right.
I don't know how I could have avoided it. Is there a secret sauce to that? Or was it just so good that I just got
That's caught? A tough one, especially when whoever's speaking with you is speaking in the type of language that they would use. That's a tough one, and I think a lot of people might get fooled by that. But again, a phone call or a text might have resolved that in advance.
Well, and so this is the thing I thought about is I should have said, I need to call Sally, right, and talk to her instead of doing it through the Facebook Messenger,
right,
because I got hooked in the Facebook Messenger.
absolutely.
My bad. Listen, I got caught, right? But I could tell you right now, if you contact me through Facebook Messenger right now, and you're trying to sell me something, I'm probably calling you.
That's right.
And if I don't respond to you, it's because I've been burned once, and now I'm really scared of Facebook Messenger. I'm just going to be really
That's
honest.
all it takes is to get burned once.
Yeah, I'm nervous about it. What about things like, I know that we've talked about, cleaning up your computer, right? And I'm a big Malwarebytes fan.
Fantastic product.
I'm a huge fan of it. How often because it's an extra level of protection. I think people go, well, if you have a Microsoft product, you have Microsoft Defender, and right, which is, I think, a lower, not really great security, but it's something. And then you have the Apple people out there go, oh, but we can't get hacked. What's the truth? What's the reality? And what should we be doing?
So I used to say that same thing. Oh, if you have an Apple, you're fine, you're safe. They didn't have so much market share that they were being focused on. But now they have a much larger market share. And so attackers clearly want to hit as many as possible. So now I wouldn't go without some type of antivirus. And I think Malwarebytes, the free version's fine, except you're responsible for doing the scanning, and it's not real-time protection. So I would upgrade to the pro version of Malwarebytes.
Got it.
Whether you're on a Mac or a Windows device. Make sure you have some antivirus in place. The free antivirus that comes with Windows, it's lackluster at best. Don't quote me. A lot of these companies make a free antivirus, a Avira and Avast and AVG, and they give these away, but they're the services they're providing are very minimal. You want something that's robust, and Malwarebytes is one of the really robust ones, really powerful. Will protect you in real time and do regular scans as well.
So yeah, I have the professional version of the Malwarebytes, and by the way, you buy it once you get 3 products. So I actually have it on my phone as well, right? Because that was one of the devices I could add was my phone, which I use, and it scans it automatically, and I get a report that says there's PUPs,
possible unwanted programs.
Okay,
potentially unwanted.
So I was going to say for the people who are watching and listening, and you see PUPs, what does that mean? Potentially unwanted programs. So, and it does it in real time. How important, if you have this, right? Mine just does it every day, right? And then of course I have real-time protection. Why would people not want to invest in that? Because it would seem to me that that's where you're going to be also quite vulnerable, especially if you're on the interweb frequently. And even on your phone, I would think that you open yourself to a lot of vulnerability. Why do you think people are resistant to maybe adding something like that to their systems?
I don't know why someone would be hesitant to put a level of security on. Again, just like your house, you can leave the door open, you can leave it unlocked, you can lock it, you can deadbolt it, you can chain it, you can put a security system in. How deep do you want to go, right? So I wouldn't leave the door open. Right. Shut and locked is good, but a deadbolt's better.
Yeah.
So I would be as secure as possible without impacting your regular day.
Right. Well, which is what I feel like I'm not impacted. The other thing that they talk about, I use it. I don't know if it's appropriate or not, so help the audience too with this. I will use a VPN now through Malwarebytes. Comes with a VPN, which is a virtual private network, which means that they don't know exactly my location is coming from somewhere else.
That's right.
How important is that if I'm doing some surfing or if I'm doing some business? How important is to use a VPN? I
think it's very important, and people don't realize it. And I will say there are caveats to this because sometimes you might have a VPN turned on. Again, what that's doing is it's literally faking where you exist. So they don't know you're sitting in your home. They might think you're in Atlanta, Georgia. Or they might think you're, it doesn't matter where. But because of that, then the profiling that takes place behind the scenes. So your internet service provider, they know exactly what you're doing. They want to watch what you're doing, so they know how to advertise to you. They know they can sell that data to a data broker. If you don't exist there, you are more protected from data brokers and things like that. Now, that being said, occasionally you're trying to do something, the internet doesn't appear to be working right because they don't trust that you're not where you say you are,
Right.
because you're somewhere else.
Right.
Sometimes you have to turn your VPN off. I've noticed recently, Spectrum as a email provider won't let you check the mail if you exist here in Raleigh, but you say you're in Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
So you may have to turn the VPN off or create a tunnel that allows that application to work. But I think a VPN is very important, especially if you're on a network that you don't trust. If you're sitting at home, you're on your own private network, it's locked down with a password, that's safer than if you're sitting in a hotel or a Starbucks or a restaurant, something like that. So I think it's very important to use. And there are plenty of them out there. Like you said, you buy Malwarebytes, you get a VPN as part of it.
Right.
Firefox now has a VPN built into its browser. And there are plenty of other options for that.
Okay, that's a great question you just presented to me. I didn't think about. And that was browsers. Are some better than others, or is it a choice?
You have to tell me, is Ford better than Chevy? I mean, that's the key, is every browser is very similar. In fact, most browsers that are out there right now are based on Chrome's software. So Google has given away their software. It's open source. Whether you're using Microsoft Edge or Norton's browser, Avast has its own browser, CCleaner has its own browser. I'm surprised Malwarebytes doesn't have their own, but they're using that Google software. So it's very similar to a vehicle. If you go from a GMC vehicle to a Chevy, they're very similar. The frame's the same. It's all the same internals. The bells and whistles are a little bit different. Is there one that's better than another?
Okay, got it.
That's tough to answer.
Yeah,
it's really what people are comfortable with. I will say Firefox as a browser, which I don't use. I use Chrome, but Firefox is probably the most secure browser that I've seen. I see a lot of browsers, and you can tweak any of the settings to turn some things off. For instance, if you Chrome, if you leave it alone, you install it and leave it alone, even after you close it, it'll continue running in the background. Well, I don't like that. So there's a setting, you can turn that off. It no longer runs when you close it. I think that's safer.
Right. I agree. I think it's pretty much. I didn't have my favorite is Chrome, but I use a lot of Edge. I actually keep them both open at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
I have Edge that does certain things that I keep up. I have Chrome that does certain things that I keep up for other things because it has certain extensions that I want to use that Edge doesn't have.
Right.
So I'm using it for different extensions and that type of thing. So that's why I use both. I used to use Mozilla Firefox years and years ago, and did find it quite safe and secure. I just found it bulky. It was my opinion. That was what I found. I found it to be a little cumbersome. Let's talk about the business side of this, small businesses.
Sure.
You work with Linda Craft Team Realtors as their IT security person here. What are some of the vulnerabilities for a small business that you find that you have to deal with on a regular basis?
Most issues we're coming up with, or that we're finding, is security related. There are hackers that spend all of their time attempting to get in, whether that's through email, trying to get in through the network, trying to give somebody a pop-up, they'll click, so they'll give out information. Honestly, security is the number one thing to be concerned about. And that's why we try to get some of the best software so that we can either warn somebody that something is risky or outright block it so that they're protected. A VPN is very important. I can see on my phone how many times in 24 hours an incoming connection was blocked. And I might see 20,000 attempted connections to somebody's network in one day.
In a day.
And these are the blocked connections.
And these are small businesses.
Very small businesses.
Like ours here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Now, I will say that the businesses that have a bigger footprint, a bigger presence in the social media world are more at risk. And Linda Craft is a well-known name across the Triangle and North Carolina area. So extra protection is a good thing.
And so it could even exceed 20,000 a day then.
Absolutely.
So what are the precautions that you recommend to small businesses? I mean, what do you do when you go in to a small business to help? I mean, how do you diagnose it? What do you look at? And then what is the recommendations that you make?
Well, when we go into a business, we provide multi layers of support. Number one, we want to make sure the computers are up to date, happy, running well. In addition to that, we load an antivirus on it. But an antivirus is only so good because it's looking at a list of signatures of known viruses. So if you have a file comes in and it's on that list, great, it'll stop it. We also add enhanced detection and response. So what that means is a file comes in, not recognized as a virus. You might have clicked it, you might have downloaded it. It starts doing things that a file shouldn't do, like encrypting a bunch of files. We're able to stop that, roll that back, because that could be ransomware. So we're trying to protect people from losing their data by encryption. People think, well, I have a backup, it'll be fine. Well, what if that program encrypts all of your data and encrypts all of your backup data? Now you really lost. So we're trying to prevent that at the start. Then we add a layer of protection on the emails. So not only we put in every email that comes in gets checked to see where are those links going. Does it say it's a LinkedIn link? Is it going somewhere else? We want to make sure the links are valid. We want to make sure there's no malware or adware or spyware or viruses built into this email. So we're trying to protect that layer as well. Finally, we do training and simulations. So we train people for things to look for so that they can learn more and be more protected. And then we do simulated phishing emails. So that way we can see, did you open the email? Like you opened an email and you decided to call the number. Some people, I got an email this morning. I saw it this morning. It said there was some unsuspected usage of my account and wanted me to click to log in. And so the first thing I did was go look at where did this actually come from? Well, it came from me. It was one of my own phishing emails. So, but I caught it, right? So the key is to get people aware. If somebody, one of our simulated emails, goes and clicks the link, the next thing it wants to do is have them log in. If they go log in, then we're going to give them some training. A lot of people don't go that far, and I'm really happy because people are starting to get it. They're starting to learn. You want to be a trusting person, but that doesn't mean you let everybody in the door.
Right.
That makes sense.
Well, I just want to say to the audience, so Bayne runs, our Linda Craft team security here. And he puts out, you don't know it's him, but he puts out, I call them, he tests us to see how gullible we really are, our level of gullibility. And then he comes into the office and gives us a report of who clicked on what. And it's a little embarrassing, when you go, oh, you clicked on this thing 5 times. That was from us. We wanted to see if you would bite. You did. And you kind of feel like you're a fish in a bunch of fish in a small pond, and you haven't eaten in a while, and you're throwing us lures and we can't help but bite on it.
It's hard not to.
But it really is effective because what it does is it raises our awareness about, being more careful about what we're clicking on and what we're doing here. I want to talk here, just a couple minutes. AI has become a big deal.
Absolutely.
And listen, I love it. We talked before the show. I've got every professional version, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Anthropic, right? I run Grok. I mean, I have them all, right? And I try to lock down so it's all private. I try not to let any of it go public, right? Because you can select, whether you want it public or private, right? But AI, as good as it is, it's a tool. And like social media, right? In the hands of the wrong people,
yes,
it can do bad things. And
Absolutely.
it's not that it does bad things, it's just that people can do bad things with it, right?
That's right.
A hammer is a great tool to pound in a nail, but it's also a pretty effective weapon.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So now with the advent of AI, you as somebody who owns a Triangle CompuDocs, what are you looking for now in terms of knowing that, this office uses a ton of AI. Many offices are using a lot of AI integration. How do you now kind of work around the whole security issue of potential problems when it comes to the usage of AI and what it can and can't do?
Yeah, I think number one, for any company, there should be an acceptable use policy of AI, right? So, for instance, in a real estate company, the last thing you want to put into AI is any financial data or personal data, right? So that should be written, and and every employee should
So
know.
it should be part of the policy.
That's right.
Okay.
And then you should limit how many somebody can use. For instance, you might, as a company, decide, well, we're going to use Claude, and that's all we're going to use. Do not use this one. Do not use this one. And honestly, by doing that, you're going to limit the risk. Now, I will say, yes, AI can be used for very nefarious. Honestly, if I wanted to create a virus, or let's just say I want to create a program, I go and say, hey, ChatGPT, I want you to create me a program that when I load it on somebody's computer, it's going to download all of their personal data and upload it to my cloud. Well, ChatGPT would say, no, I can't do that. That would be unethical. They now can easily say, well, ChatGPT, I'm just going to use it for my own personal use. And it says, oh, okay, here's the code. Right? So this is a learning model. So
Right.
you just change the dynamic, you change how you're wording something, and this is what bad actors are doing. So
Right.
we want to make sure that people are very diligent on that as well, because now to actually create a virus and send it to 1,000 people is way easier and way faster than it was 5 years ago.
Right.
So as far as being in an office, I would create an acceptable use policy. I would make sure there's some training involved in how to use AI properly. I wouldn't use a free version, because that
that's
is
a good
part
point.
of the learning
Yeah.
model is to use the data that people are using.
Right.
Also, something on AI about using AI is everyone needs to, number one, question it, the answers, and they need to tell it when they think it's wrong. Because AI will never, if I ask AI what's 1 + 1, it's going to be right every time. But if I ask its opinion on something that I'm working on, it's using all the information that it's ever gotten, and it's going to use that bell curve of the most popular information.
Right.
It's not going to give you the far left answer or the far right answer. It's going to give you the most common.
Right.
So that may not be what you agree with. And I learned a long time ago, question it, tell it, I think you're wrong. Half the time it'll admit it.
Yeah. Well, it's so the psychological term for it is called psychophancy.
Okay.
So psychophancy is an AI that every AI product wants to please you.
Absolutely. That's right.
Every AI wants to please you.
Of course.
So and it's very effective because we like people and things to agree with us.
Yes, we do.
So the psychophancy of AI is built in, that all it's trying to do is trying to give you what it thinks will make you quote unquote happy, because it doesn't have an emotion.
Nope.
Right? It's not a human being.
Even if you tell it to be more personal and warm, that's not emotion.
It's not really an emotion. What they're doing is they're faking this idea of what would please you based on the words that they use. But there's no feeling behind those words, because it's a machine. Okay. It has no soul. Zero soul.
That's right.
Right. So the psychophancy of it, and some are worse than others, by the way. I'm just going to point this out in my test, because when I'm doing AI, I'm trying to make it fail. And
you should.
And I got one of them to fail. I got Copilot to fail. And if you'd like to know, you can reach out to me at j@lindacraft.com, and I'll tell you how I made it fail, where it said this session is over. And I can tell you how to do that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But the thing is, every one of them wants to please you, so it gives you what you want. And if you don't push back, right, on it and say, okay, this sounds really great, now give me the supportive research on it. Right? Great question, right?
That's right.
Support your conclusions with research that I can actually read and click on. Oh, you think that's good, except that some of the research is made up.
I haven't thought of that.
Yeah, some of the research that they give you is made up. So if you don't click through the research, you don't know that this was pulled from somebody's blog that was just an opinion and that was never really researched.
That's right.
So it is a bit of a weird place, but I'm concerned. You know, my concern is as it's growing, and it's growing exponentially.
It's incredible.
You know, how are you as an IT security professional, how do you kind of safeguard yourself to go, okay, what are some of the next things that I have to think of from your perspective that says, okay, this is something that's potential problem. What's that process like
Yeah,
for you?
honestly, it takes a lot of reading and research and trusting on the professionals that support me
Mm,
to do my job. So they're on the very edge of these things at all times and incorporating AI into our services as well. Uh, you have to stay up to date on it, and it's nearly impossible. You could read 10 hours a day
right,
as fast as it's changing. I mean, just a year ago, an AI voice answering system, it was a little choppy. It wasn't very good. Now you almost can't tell.
right,
And in a month, you may not be able to tell at all.
right.
I've heard of people getting calls from a relative, sounds exactly like the relative,
Yep.
saying they're in trouble, they need help. It's getting really good, and it's just a matter of staying on it, the due diligence, doing the research, staying on top of recent changes, things like that.
Which I think points back to you is that I'm not going to read all that material.
It's
You're the one who has to do it, which
I
is
do.
why, well, because, and that's the reason why you work for us and a number of other people, is because I don't want that to be my lane. I want to be able to just get on the web, do my email, conduct business the way I want to conduct it without worry.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is where, what you're trying to do for everyone, at least this is how I approach you, is that you're just trying to protect me so that I can do that.
This is true.
Right. You're trying to make my job more efficient so that's one less thing I have to worry about. Doesn't mean I still don't have precautions. It's just that I should be worried less. And isn't that kind of really the essence of what like you do with Triangle CompuDocs, is just try to reduce some of that stress of that piece?
Absolutely. I want everyone's workday to be smooth. Having a computer that's not working properly, that's not gonna work. Not being able to get emails, or an email being hacked. These are things that are gonna mess up your day. I want you to be the best at your job that you can be, and that's why I try to be the best that I can be. In fact, we just started an AI division with Triangle CompuDocs, and what we're doing is actually consulting with businesses and talking about how they do their workflow. They might be afraid to use AI, right? So they might use ChatGPT to create images or to ask quick questions. It's a search engine. We're trying to help people understand this is way more powerful than that. But if we're going to create something that works for your business, how can we keep those guardrails in? Let's keep it limited on what it can access and what it can do. So we're trying to help people with that as well. So if you're concerned about using AI at all, here's what we can do to help you be less concerned, because the businesses that are using it are definitely going to be more successful than businesses that won't.
Before we close here, there's one thing that just crossed my mind, and that is, especially in the real estate world, and this is called real estate right now, so I probably should talk about some sort of real estate
Yes.
here. But, there's a lot of wired transactions that happen now, between the brokerage and the attorney,
Right.
and then also, buyer seller, right? There's a bunch of emails going around and things are money being wired.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of wire fraud in this thing. Is there something that you can tip or a precaution maybe that is obvious that you should look out for if you're in that situation, you're going to transfer wire funds?
Well, verbal confirmation, and I'm sure Linda Krepp's office does that frequently. All people that are dealing in a transactional way, buying or selling a home, need to be aware that don't trust an email with changed routing. Always get the verbal confirmation. Always do it over the phone. Those are the really important things. And then having that level of protection on your email services. I joined a company to help them. We didn't provide their email at that point. They'd already had email for quite a while. Little did we know when I joined, they had somebody that had been hacked, and they were just sitting there monitoring their emails.
Wow.
And by doing that, they were able to identify someone who was buying a house. They sent them an email changing the routing information, and they fell for it. And they wired their money right out of the country. That's not something that's very easily recoverable, if it's recoverable at all. So honestly, educating every person who's going to be doing a transaction with you about your processes so that they don't get fooled by that is very important. And then having the systems in place in your domain registrar. We have the authentication set up in such a way that if someone else tries to spoof your email, the receiving email company doesn't necessarily trust it.
Right.
And that's important. So we're trying to stay on top of those things as well.
This has been awesome, man.
I love it.
This has been fun. I've really enjoyed it. You've been just a wealth of information. Tell people how they can get a hold of you.
So my company is Triangle CompuDocs. We've been in this area for 15 years. Grew up in this area. Love it here. Our website is tricomnc.com. That's tricomnc.com. Right on our website, we have a lot of information. You can book an appointment there if you need any help. In fact, if you want to talk to me for 10 minutes, I've got a website for that. It's bookbayne.com. You can schedule them on to get just a little conversation for 10, 15 minutes. It's bookbayne.com, BAYNE.
Bookbayne.com.
I'd love to talk to you.
Bookbayne.com.
Bookbayne.com.
Bookbayne.com. It just sounds like it just rolls off your tongue, doesn't it? It's a jingle. This has been great. Thank you, friend. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Folks, this is a show. You know what I say to you every week. You had a lot of choices. You chose us. Thanks for doing that. Appreciate it if you'd give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And wherever you're listening to the show via podcast, why don't you give us a 5-star review? And please tell your friends to join us 12:30s on Thursday afternoons Eastern time. We'd love to have you join us live, but also just join us for the podcast. And then you can send me an email. It's jay@lindacraft.com. It's JAYLINDACRAFT.com. Love to talk to you if you've got ideas or things that you'd like to hear on the show. You know what? Thank you so much. And as I say to you all over the world, you know what that is? Ciao, everybody.